right, black and white sports supporters, let's talk about the Indiana Fever. Before we jump right into that, I want to thank Jason Whitlock. Guys, you can go over and check out the latest episode of Fearless. Your boy was on there, thrashing the WNBA into oblivion. I was like, man, this is the WNBA's worst nightmare. Putting Jason Whitlock and Road Rants together. Bad idea. Well,
the axe finally dropped, and the silence in Indiana was deafening. After weeks of mounting pressure, and a fan base on the verge of a total revolt, the Indiana Fever front office finally pulled the trigger on roster cuts. They waited until the absolute last moment to make their move, but the damage was already done. This wasn't just a routine roster adjustment, it was a desperate attempt to quiet the loudest storm the WNBA has ever seen. The fans weren't just asking for changes, they were demanding them with their wallets, and the organization finally blinked. It was a moment of pure panic that changed the entire trajectory of the season.
I was like, man, this is the WNBA's worst nightmare. Putting Jason Whitlock and Road Rants together. Bad idea. Well, there's no mercy in this dojo. Period. So, we got a few things to talk about, right? Number one, where do I want to start? Let's start with the players that just got waived, because the Fever waited to the very last memento to try to waive anybody. Megan McConnell, goodbye. Kind of a shame, honestly. Looks like she might be a contender. Jessica Timmons.
Maya McConnell is gone. Jessica Timmons is out, and Kayana Taylor has been shown the door. Even Celeste Taylor, a player many thought had a real shot, was sent packing in a move that felt less like a strategic plan and more like a sacrificial offering to an angry public. These weren't just names on a spreadsheet, these were the casualties of a front office that seems completely out of touch with its own success. By waiting until the final hour to waive these players, the Fever revealed a level of indecision that has fans wondering who is actually steering the ship. The roster is thinning out, but the tension in the building is only getting thicker.
Why does it feel like the Fever are running a full PR campaign for Stephanie White? Instead of promoting the actual players people pay to see. I'm sure she's a nice person, but she is not the franchise superstar, nor do fans pay to watch her. Fans are not stupid. Stop trying to force her on the fan base. We decide if she deserves support once we see the offense and how CeCe is being used. Not parked in a corner, getting iced out again. Stop trying to manufacture approval through nonstop propaganda videos and put that energy into...
The timing of these cuts tells you everything you need to know about the internal chaos currently rocking the Fever organization. They hovered on these decisions for as long as possible, hoping the backlash regarding player usage would simply fade away. Instead, the noise only grew more aggressive, as fans realized the team was prioritizing a PR campaign over actual winning basketball. When you have a generational talent like Caitlin Clark, every move is magnified 1,000 times over. These cuts weren't just about roster spots, they were a signal that the front office is finally feeling the heat from a fan base that refuses to stay quiet.
Getting iced out again. Stop trying to manufacture approval through nonstop propaganda videos and put that energy into the product and on the court instead. Damn. D-Zam. Shiznit. Wow. Crushed. You still don't get why your ticket prices were dropped. Wow. Yeah, the ticket prices coming up a little light, folks. They are. Yeah. Mostly cheerleading. Need a Mike Ditka woman coach out there. Okay. Guys, you remember when your boy went out there? Remember when Sandy...
While the roster was being gutted, the Fever marketing team was busy launching a full-scale PR blitz to save Stephanie White's reputation. Fans are noticing that the team is spending more time promoting the head coach than the actual superstars people are paying to see. It's a bizarre strategy that has backfired spectacularly, leading many to call it a desperate attempt to manufacture approval. You can't force a fan base to love a coach through polished video clips and mic'd-up segments when the product on the court feels broken. The disconnect between the front office's vision and the fans' reality has created a massive rift that propaganda can't bridge.
In the past, with the Dolphins, Heat, Hurricanes, it's ride or die. Granted, they had issues with the front office and coaches, but never like the Fever. Bye. Wow. Wow. The person is killing any kind of flair and brilliance in this team. This woman is not good enough to coach half of these players. That's why she can't make plays work for Clark, who would play CC as a forward. The clueless hack would. Wow. Hey, Fever franchise. Stephanie White promoting the Fever franchise is like Dylan Mulvaney promoting Bud Light. Good luck.
The feedback from the latest marketing push has been nothing short of brutal, with some observers calling it instant regret. Fans are asking why the franchise is treating Stephanie White like the superstar, instead of the players who are actually selling the jerseys. The sentiment is clear: fans decide who deserves support based on the results, not on manufactured clips of a coach yelling from the sidelines. There is a growing sense that the team is trying to bully the audience into accepting a coaching style that doesn't fit the talent on the floor. It's a dangerous game to play when your audience is more knowledgeable than ever about the sport.
Fever franchise. Stephanie White promoting the Fever franchise is like Dylan Mulvaney promoting Bud Light. Good luck. Damn. In case you guys do not know, Bud Light's actual worth as a business has never remotely recovered from the Dylan Mulvaney situation. Not even remotely. Wow. The league allowed cheap shots on the biggest star in the league history. They are literally complicit. It left most viewers unable to watch the garbage being played.
In these mic'd-up videos, we see Stephanie White telling players not to try to be athletic, but to just be bullied. It's a confusing message for a team that should be playing high-octane, fast-paced basketball. Fans are dissecting these clips and finding them wanting, pointing out that the energy feels forced and the coaching philosophy seems outdated. Instead of showcasing the brilliance of the athletes, the focus remains squarely on the woman with the clipboard. This strategy is being viewed as a massive distraction from the fact that the offense still hasn't figured out how to maximize the most dangerous shooter in the history of the game.
The league allowed cheap shots on the biggest star in the league history. They are literally complicit. It left most viewers unable to watch the garbage being played, and they aren't coming back. The league still doesn't promote her. They prefer Wilson and SQ and others. Pathetic. I would say that I don't think they promote Sabrina Ionescu enough, to be quite honest with you, but she's white and straight, so there's that. One of the worst head coaches of the WNBA. Guys, not good. You heard them. See you Saturday for the season opener. feverbasketball.com/ticket.
The biggest fear among the faithful is that Caitlin Clark is being iced out in her own offense. We've seen her parked in the corner, used as a decoy, while the play develops elsewhere, and the fans are absolutely done with it. They didn't buy tickets to watch the most exciting player in the world stand still while the coach runs a system that ignores her greatest strengths. The demand is simple: stop trying to make the coach the star, and start putting the ball in the hands of the franchise player. Every game that goes by where CC is underutilized is a game where the front office loses more credibility with the people who pay the bills.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the video. I do. But I think at last check, roughly 1,600 or 1,700 tickets remain for a game that sold out nearly instantly last year, as did the year before. This year, three and a half days out from the game, tickets remain. Again, it will sell out. They've had to drop ticket prices. People were paying up for tickets. Remember, I was making videos talking about how much.
The biggest fear among the faithful is the backlash has become so loud that it's starting to affect the bottom line, and that's when a sports franchise truly enters panic mode. We are seeing ticket prices drop for games that were expected to be massive sellouts. Last year, these seats were disappearing in seconds at record high prices. Now, just days away from the season opener, there are nearly 1,700 tickets still sitting on the primary market. This is a massive red flag for a league that was supposed to be riding the Caitlin Clark wave to new heights. If you lose the fans' interest before the season even begins, you are in for a very long and very quiet year. The situation is drawing comparisons to some of the biggest brand disasters in recent history. One fan even compared the promotion of the Fever franchise to the infamous Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light situation. That is a stinging indictment of how much the brand has been damaged in a very short amount of time. Bud Light's business value has never truly recovered from that marketing pivot, and the Fever are trending toward a similar cliff. When you alienate your core audience to push a narrative they didn't ask for, you risk losing the very foundation of your success. The fans feel betrayed, and they aren't afraid to walk away. There is a growing list of fans who say they are no longer following the team because of the coaching and the front office. These aren't fair weather supporters, these are people who have been ride or die for years, but simply can't stomach the current direction. They see a coach who they believe isn't good enough to manage the level of talent on this roster. When a coach is perceived as a hack who would play a generational guard as a forward, the trust is gone. You can't win back a fan base that believes you are actively sabotaging the greatest opportunity the franchise has ever had to become a global powerhouse. The missed opportunities are stacking up, and many are looking back at the hiring process with massive regret. When Sandy Brondello was available, she seemed like the perfect fit for this roster. She has a proven track record of managing high-profile superstars like Sabrina Ionescu and Breanna Stewart. More importantly, she has been vocal about her adoration for Caitlin Clark's game. Instead of bringing in a championship-caliber coach who understands how to build around a phenom, the Fever went in a different direction. Now, they are left wondering why the chemistry feels off, and why the fans are calling for a complete overhaul. It's not just the coaching, it's the lack of NBA-level experience in the front office that is haunting this team. There were calls to hire professionals from the men's side who understand the pressure of managing a high-profile franchise player. In the NBA, when you have a star like this, the entire organization is built around their success. The Fever, however, seem to be operating under an old-school WNBA mindset that doesn't account for the massive cultural shift Clark has brought to the sport. They are trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and the friction is starting to cause a fire that could burn the whole season down. The league itself isn't helping matters, as many viewers feel the WNBA is complicit in the way its biggest star is being treated. From allowing cheap shots on the court to failing to promote her properly in league-wide marketing, there is a sense that the establishment is trying to keep Clark in check. They seem to prefer promoting other stars, while the one person actually drawing the crowds is left to fend for herself. This perceived lack of support from the league office only fuels the fans' anger and makes them even more protective of Clark. It's a toxic environment that is overshadowing the actual basketball. Some fans have pointed out the disparity in how different stars are marketed, specifically mentioning Sabrina Ionescu. There's a feeling that the league doesn't know how to handle a star who is white and straight in a way that resonates with the broader audience they claim to want. This adds another layer of controversy to an already explosive situation. Whether it's marketing, officiating, or coaching, the common theme is a lack of respect for the impact Caitlin Clark has had on the game. The fans see the hypocrisy, and they are using their voices to call out the pathetic nature of the league's current promotional strategy. The coaching staff is being labeled as some of the worst in WNBA history by the most vocal parts of the fandom. This isn't just hyperbole, it's a reflection of the deep frustration felt by those who understand the game. When you have a player who can make any pass and hit any shot, and your offense looks stagnant and uninspired, the blame falls directly on the person with the whistle. Stephanie White is under a microscope like no coach before her, and so far, she is failing the test. Every mistake is being magnified, and every win will be credited to the players, while every loss will be pinned squarely on her. We are just days away from the season opener, and the vibe around the team is remarkably heavy. Instead of pure excitement, there is a sense of apprehension. The promotional videos featuring Clark and Sophie Cunningham are trying to drum up interest, but the energy feels different than it did a few months ago. The ticket prices are coming up light, and the sellouts aren't happening as instantly as they used to. This should be a victory lap for the Indiana Fever, but instead, it feels like they are bracing for impact. The fans are waiting to see if anything has actually changed, or if it's more of the same. The drop in ticket prices is the ultimate metric of the fans' dissatisfaction. When people were willing to pay thousands of dollars just to be in the building, the front office felt invincible. But as the hype settles, and the reality of the coaching situation sets in, that demand is cooling off. You can't sustain record-breaking growth if the product on the court is frustrating to watch. The Fever organization is learning the hard way that a star player can get people in the door once, but a well-run team is what keeps them coming back. Right now, they are failing on the second half of that equation. The GM survey that came out recently only added fuel to the fire, with many fans finding the results ridiculous. It's yet another example of the gap between how the league insiders see the game and how the actual audience perceives it. There is a disconnect at every level of the sport right now, and Caitlin Clark is at the center of the storm. The establishment seems to be digging in its heels, while the new wave of fans is demanding a revolution. This clash of cultures is reaching a breaking point, and the Indiana Fever are the primary battleground where this war is being fought. If the team hits the 15-game mark with a mediocre record like 7-8, the fallout will be catastrophic. Fans are already on a hair trigger, and a slow start will likely lead to calls for immediate coaching changes and front office resignations. There is no honeymoon period for this team because the expectations are simply too high. You don't get to have a rebuilding year when you have the most famous player in the world on your roster. Every game is a referendum on the leadership of this franchise, and so far, the fans are voting for a change in direction before it's too late. The players who were waived are just the beginning of the story. The real question is whether the players who remain can overcome the internal hurdles they are facing. It's a lot of pressure to put on a young roster, especially when they can feel the tension from the stands. The atmosphere in the arena on opening night will tell us everything we need to know. Will the fans be there to cheer for a new era? Or will they be there to voice their displeasure with a coaching staff they no longer trust? The stakes couldn't be higher for a regular season opener in the history of the league. The marketing team can put out as many slick videos as they want, but at the end of the day, the truth is told on the hardwood. You can't manufacture chemistry, and you can't fake a winning culture. The fans are tired of the propaganda and the PR stunts. They want to see a team that plays with the same brilliance and flair that their superstar is known for. If Stephanie White can't deliver that, no amount of mic'd-up segments will save her job. The clock is ticking, and the fuse is already lit. This season is either going to be a historic success or a legendary disaster. As we look toward Saturday, the pressure on the Fever is unlike anything we've seen in women's sports. The eyes of the world are on Indiana, not just to see Caitlin Clark, but to see if the organization can actually handle the greatness they've been gifted. The fans have made their voices heard. The cuts have been made, and the PR campaign is in full swing. Now, all that's left is for the ball to be tipped. The silence of the front office has been replaced by the roar of the crowd, and that roar is demanding excellence. Anything less will be seen as a total failure of leadership. The saga of the Indiana Fever is a cautionary tale for any team that thinks they can ignore their fan base. In the modern era of sports, the audience has more power than ever, and they aren't afraid to use it. The panic in Indiana is real because the stakes are real. This isn't just about winning games, it's about the future of the league and the legacy of its biggest star. Whether the Fever can navigate this storm, or if they will be swallowed by it, remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, the fans are watching every single move, and they won't accept anything but the best. That Caitlin Clark is being iced out in her own offense. We've seen her parked.